There comes a moment, quiet, raw, unmistakable, when you realize you've been living someone else's script, a life designed by expectations you never agreed to, fueled by fears that aren't yours, measured by standards you didn't create. You wake up one morning, surrounded by noise, by pressure, by people, and still feel completely alone. Not because you're unloved, but because you're unseen, even by yourself. That is the moment, the fracture, the spark. It's the moment your soul whispers what it's been screaming beneath the noise. This isn't mine. These dreams, not mine. These deadlines, not mine. This image, not me. And if you have the courage to listen, not just hear it, but listen, your life begins again. You were not born to please. You were born to become the fullest, fiercest, most honest version of yourself. Not a polished replica, not a projection, not a product of what they said you should be. You were born to live your truth, even if no one claps for it, especially if no one claps for it. And here's what they never tell you. Living for yourself doesn't mean you don't love others. It means you love yourself enough to not betray your own soul in the name of acceptance. It means you don't abandon your fire just to make others feel warm, because you weren't sent here to play small. You weren't sent here to blend in. You weren't sent here to shrink your shine so others don't feel insecure in your light. You were sent here to ignite, to set fire to the limits, to show what it looks like when someone stops asking for permission and starts becoming. And yes, they'll try to guilt you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're selfish. They'll say you've forgotten them. But they're not mad that you changed. They're mad that you changed without their approval. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You do not owe your life to anyone's version of who they thought you'd be. You do not owe your time to people who only show up when they want something. You do not owe your energy to those who drain it, mock it, or manipulate it. You owe yourself the truth. You owe yourself the life you keep dreaming about when the lights are off and no one's watching. You owe yourself a full expression, not a filtered one. So stop editing your soul to make others comfortable. Stop waiting for them to understand before you move. Stop playing small so you don't disrupt the room. Disrupt it. Shake the room. Walk in with so much clarity, so much presence, so much unapologetic you, that every person who once knew the old version now has to meet the real one. Because living for yourself is not rebellion, it's resurrection. It's the moment you return to yourself. After years of exile, after years of performing, pretending, pleasing, you come back home to the voice you silenced, to the vision you buried, to the version of you that never stopped hoping someone would choose them. And when you finally choose yourself, you stop waiting. You stop explaining. You stop negotiating your worth. And you begin. You begin to speak truth even when your voice shakes. You begin to build dreams even when the path is unclear. You begin to stand alone, not with arrogance, but with honor. And that is the beginning of power. Power is not found in applause. It's found in alignment. Not in being liked, but in being real. Because peace doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from being able to look in the mirror and say, that's me. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unshaken. And when you live like that, something shifts. Your energy changes. Your presence commands. Not because you're loud, but because you're aligned. You speak less, but your words cut deeper. You move slower, but every step lands with weight. You stop chasing and start attracting. Because authenticity is magnetic. It doesn't beg, it doesn't perform, it doesn't convince. It simply is. And the ones who can feel it, they come. The right people, the right opportunities, the right alignment, not because you chased them, but because you became the person who doesn't need to chase. And the ones who fall away, let them go. They were only holding space in a chapter you've already outgrown. You're not here to drag anyone into your next season. You're here to embody it. Fully, boldly, fearlessly. Because when you live for yourself truly, wholly, the world doesn't just change around you. It shifts in response to you. You stop being reactive. You become a cause, not an effect. You become a voice, not an echo. You become a force of nature, not because you shouted louder, but because you finally listened to yourself. And now there's no going back. Not to the version that begged to be understood. Not to the mask that smiled through silence. Not to the smallness you wore like a second skin. You shed it all, and you rise. Not for applause, not for validation, not for followers, but because your soul remembers. It remembers who you were before they told you who to be. It remembers what it felt like to be free, to be full, to be you. And from this moment on, that's who leads. No more pretending. No more performing. No more waiting for permission to be what you already are. Live for yourself and let the world adjust. Because when you live for yourself, you stop negotiating with fear. You stop asking fear for advice. You stop letting it vote on your decisions. You stop letting it name your price. Because fear will always underbid your worth. Always. Fear says, play it safe. Truth says, play it real. Fear says, don't stand out. Truth says, you were never meant to fit in. Fear says, wait until they approve. Truth says, they're still waiting for someone like you to go first. You want to lead? Then be the one who stops living on a leash. Rip it off. Tear down the old labels. Forget what they called you lazy, too intense, too loud, too emotional, too sensitive, too unrealistic. They didn't know they were describing your gifts. They didn't know your intensity was your calling in full volume. They didn't realize your emotions were your radar, that your dreams were never too big, their vision was just too small. You're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. So say what you mean. Do what you love. Honor your inner knowing even when it's inconvenient, even when it scares you, even when it costs you the room, because the truth is the room was never yours if you had to shrink to stay in it. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them stare. Let them question, and let them watch you win. Watch you build peace in a world addicted to noise. Watch you walk away from chaos, because chaos can't survive where boundaries exist. Watch you laugh louder, love deeper, live wider, because now it's your script, your direction, your terms. This is not selfish. This is sacred. Because when you live for yourself truly and honestly, you don't take from others, you free them. You become the evidence that freedom is possible. That authenticity isn't dangerous, it's divine. That self-trust is the beginning of everything real. You don't have to explain it, you embody it. You don't preach it, you radiate it. And every room you walk into, every space you inhabit, every soul that meets you, they feel it. The difference, the depth, the fire. Because living for yourself doesn't mean isolation. It means alignment. And when you are aligned, you attract other aligned beings. The ones who see you and don't flinch. The ones who don't need you to dim. The ones who bring their own light and say, let's rise together. But you'll never find them by staying in falsehood. You'll only meet them when you meet you. The real you. The one who stopped performing. The one who stopped apologizing. The one who stopped proving and started creating. So strip away the mask. Drop the script. Walk away from the noise. And walk toward yourself. Because everything you've ever wanted, it's not behind more hustle. It's behind more honesty. And the most radical, revolutionary thing you can do in a world built on performance is to be real, unshakably, unapologetically, undeniably real. Live for yourself, not to escape others, but to finally arrive home, where the fire never dies, where the vision never dims, where the voice within is louder than any noise outside. This is where your life begins. Not when you're accepted, but when you accept yourself. Not when they approve, but when you arrive. Not when you're celebrated, but when you are seen. By you. So take up space. Speak with conviction. Move with purpose. And live every breath like it's yours, because it is. Your time. Your truth. Your terms. Your life. Live it. for you and no one else. Because when you truly live for yourself, something profound happens. You stop needing to be understood by those who were never meant to walk your path. You stop chasing closure where silence has already spoken. You stop begging for acceptance from people still hiding from themselves. You stop auditioning for rooms you were never meant to enter because now you're building your own. You become rooted in your values, rooted in your truth, rooted in the kind of self-respect that doesn't scream but commands. You no longer ask, will they like me? You ask, is this right for me? You no longer ask, do I belong here? You say, I choose where I belong. Because you've realized they don't get to vote on your freedom. They don't get to decide what you're worthy of. They don't hold the pen to your story. You do. And the moment you take it back, everything changes. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop explaining and start embodying. You stop fitting in and start standing out. Not as an act of rebellion, but as a return to self. You were never lost, just buried. Under expectations, under programming, under years of swallowing your truth to keep the peace. But peace without self is not peace, it's captivity. And now you break the chains. You rewrite the script. You give yourself permission to feel deeply, to speak freely, to walk boldly in the direction of your soul's calling. Because the more you live for yourself, the more your life begins to align. The right people find you. The wrong ones leave. The pressure lifts. The fog clears. And for the first time, you see not with your eyes, but with your knowing. You see where you're going. You see why it all had to break. You see that the pain had a purpose to bring you home. To this moment. To this you. Unfiltered. Unashamed. Uncompromising. This is the you that doesn't apologize for being too much. Because too much is exactly what the world needs. This is the you that doesn't dilute the dream. Because it was never meant to be manageable, it was meant to be miraculous. This is the you that doesn't explain your fire because those with fire feel it without needing words. So let it burn. Let it blaze. Let it consume every false identity you ever wore. Let it light the path for someone still stuck in their cage, because your freedom becomes their permission. Your authenticity becomes their invitation. Your courage becomes the ripple that breaks generational silence. This is how legacies are built. Not in obedience, but in ownership. Not in approval, but in alignment. Not in hiding, but in being seen. Fully, finally, completely. So live like it. Own your day. Own your name. Own your journey. And never again forget. You were not sent here to be a reflection of other people's fear. You were sent here to become the boldest, brightest, most blazing version of yourself. So rise, not for applause, not for validation, but for truth. And live this life, all of it, not for anyone else, but for you. And when you do, when you fully commit to living for yourself, the world won't know what to do with you. Because they're not used to people who move without needing permission. They're not used to people who don't play the game, who rewrite it. They're not used to someone who walks into a room not asking to be accepted, but bringing acceptance with them. The kind that says, I know who I am, I know what I'm not, and I'm good either way. That kind of presence can't be ignored. That kind of energy shifts rooms, breaks patterns, opens doors, not because of credentials or titles, but because of truth. That kind of self-honesty is rare, sacred, revolutionary. And it's not loud, it's grounded. It's in how you speak with clarity. It's in how you stop chasing and start attracting. It's in how you don't beg for attention, for love, for belonging, because you've already found it inside. You've already come home to yourself. That's what it means to truly live for you, to no longer outsource your worth, to no longer rent your identity to someone else's comfort, to no longer postpone your purpose because someone might not like the version of you that finally stands tall. Let them not like it. Let them feel threatened. Let them fall away. Because your soul is not here for popularity. It's here for alignment. And when you're aligned, Even your silence has weight. Even your presence speaks before you do. You don't walk in with arrogance, you walk in with authority. Not because you've conquered the world, but because you've conquered yourself. That inner war between who you are and who you were told to be, it ends here. This is the burial of the mask. This is the celebration of the real. And you will lose things in this process, make no mistake. You will lose people. You will lose comfort. You will lose the illusion of safety. But you will gain something sacred. You will gain clarity. You will gain conviction. You will gain the peace that can only come from living a life that matches your soul. And once you taste that, you never go back. You can't unsee the truth. You can't unknow your worth. You can't unhear the voice that says, this is who we are now, fully, freely, finally. So from this moment on, everything you do, every move, every choice, every breath, let it come from that place. Not fear, not pressure, not performance, but truth. Because that is the most powerful thing you'll ever possess. Not followers, not fame, not status, but the ability to wake up every day, look yourself in the mirror, and respect who you see. To know without doubt that you're living a life of your own design, that you've burned the masks, silenced the noise, and come back to the only thing that was ever real you. And once you're living from that place, from the core, from the center, from the deep well of who you are, everything becomes different. The way you walk through the world shifts. You stop trying to be impressive. You start being impactful. You stop trying to win the race they put you in. You realize you were never running the same race. They were chasing approval. You're chasing alignment. They were building empires for show. You're building legacy from soul. They were performing. You're becoming. And now everything becomes more clear. You don't need to speed up. You need to go deep. You don't need to prove them wrong. You need to prove yourself right. You don't need more followers. You need more faith in your voice. You don't need to fit the frame. You were born to break it. That's what living for yourself means. It's not arrogance. It's not rebellion. It's not ego. It's responsibility. Responsibility for the gift you carry. Responsibility for the vision you were given. Responsibility for the fire burning inside you that refuses to die quietly. Because if you don't live your life, someone else will script it for you. They'll write your story in pencil, erase your lines, and hand you a life so far beneath your potential that you'll forget who you ever were. Until one day, in the silence of your soul, a question echoes. What if I had chosen me? Let this be the moment you never have to ask that again. Let this be the vow you make, unshakable, irrevocable, holy. I will no longer abandon myself to be liked. I will no longer betray my truth to keep the peace. I will no longer shrink to fit someone else's mold. I will rise daily in full possession of my purpose. I will speak, move, create, build, lead, love from me. Not the conditioned me, not the projected me, but the real me. And the world will adjust, because I am not here to be explained. I am here to be expressed. So let them misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them walk away. But don't you dare walk away from yourself. Not now. Not ever again. Because once you choose you, the universe responds. And it won't look like magic. It will be magic. Doors open. Paths clear. The right people arrive. The weight lifts. Because now you're not fighting life, you're flowing with it. Now you're not begging for direction, you are the direction. Now you're not seeking permission, you are the proof. That living for yourself isn't selfish. It's sacred. It's strength. It's the beginning of everything. So burn the script, trust the voice, honor the fire, and live fully, boldly, completely for you. Because the moment you start living for you truly, courageously, and unapologetically, the entire game changes. You're no longer moved by trends. You're moved by truth. You're no longer distracted by noise. You're directed by knowing. And the best part? You stop needing to arrive anywhere to feel whole. You already are. You stop delaying your joy, your worth, your voice for some distant destination. You stop waiting to live until it's perfect. You realize that this right here, this messy, powerful, unfolding version of you is already enough. Because living for yourself isn't about reaching some final, polished image. It's about becoming real, raw, present, grounded, awake. It's about knowing that you don't need more to be worthy, you need less. Less pretending, less proving, less pleasing. Strip it all away until what remains is undeniable. That is you. The original blueprint, the one life can't copy, can't replicate, can't silence. You walk different when you know you're enough. You breathe different when you no longer carry the weight of trying to be what everyone else needed you to be. You sleep different when your soul finally knows you're safe being you, not the edited version, not the socially approved version, you. And this is power, not control over others, not domination of outcomes, but the kind of power that radiates in quiet moments, the power of someone who's finally aligned with their own essence. That's what changes lives. Not your status, but your state. Not your title, but your truth. And this world doesn't need more people chasing. It needs more people rooted. Rooted in conviction. Rooted in clarity. Rooted in the sacred, knowing that your life is your message. And if it's not spoken from your soul, then it's just noise. But when you speak from truth, your words pierce. Your steps matter. Your presence heals. Because it's not just about you anymore. Your freedom becomes a map. Your courage becomes a mirror. Your choice to live for yourself becomes the permission someone else didn't know they were allowed to give themselves. This is the ripple. This is the revolution. It doesn't start on stages. It starts in hearts. It starts with one person, just one, who finally decides, I will live my way, and I will be enough. Not when I'm richer, not when I'm more loved, not when I've achieved more, but now, right now, in this breath, in this skin, in this voice, unfiltered, uncompromising, unafraid. I choose me, and I live not for the world to approve, not for their comfort, not for their praise, but for the one person I will never escape, myself. And that is everything. And once you arrive at that truth, that radical, liberating, bone-deep truth, the world can't control you anymore. Not with guilt, not with fear, not with silence. Because when you live for yourself, the old rules no longer apply. You stop playing small to make others feel big. You stop editing your voice to keep the peace. You stop swallowing your needs just to be needed. You no longer compromise your fire for a seat at a table that doesn't deserve your warmth. You build your own table, one rooted in truth, one carved from pain, wisdom, and clarity. And you invite only those who aren't afraid of the flame. Because now you see, not everyone deserves access to your soul. Not everyone is qualified to witness your becoming. Not everyone can handle the you who stopped apologizing. And that's okay. You're not for everyone, but you are for yourself. Fully, finally, completely. No more fragmentation. No more splitting yourself in half just to be digestible. No more tucking your power into the corner because someone else can't handle their own. You were never too much. They were just never enough to receive you. And now that you know this, you walk different. You show up different. You speak with a fire that can't be rehearsed. You love without losing yourself. You create without censoring your edge. You rest without guilt. You take up space not with arrogance, but with honor. Because you know you're not here by accident. You're here on assignment to live your life. Not the one they handed you. Not the one fear offered. Not the one they praised, but you resented. You're here to live a life that makes your younger self proud and your older self grateful. A life that says, I remembered who I was. I became what I was born for. And I did it all, not for applause, not for validation, but for the one truth that matters. I refuse to abandon myself. So if you hear nothing else, hear this. Stop waiting for someone else to save you. You are the rescue. You are the redemption. You are the permission. And you are the proof that a life fully lived, not perfect, not pretty, but real, is the most dangerous, powerful, world-shaking act of all. So rise, live, own it all, for you. And once you begin to live for you, the entire rhythm of your life changes. You stop rushing. You stop explaining. You stop entertaining things that don't align with your core. You become deliberate, precise, focused, not because you're cold, but because you're finally clear. Clear about who you are. Clear about what you value. Clear about what you're no longer willing to compromise. And that clarity, that's a spiritual weapon. That's what cuts through distraction. That's what makes your no powerful and your yes unstoppable. Because now you don't move from impulse, you move from integrity. You stop negotiating with your soul for temporary comfort. You stop trading your peace for shallow approval. You stop selling your future for fleeting validation. You become the kind of person who no longer begs life to go easy. You rise strong enough to meet it head on, with grace, with grit, with grounded authority. Because living for yourself doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get stronger. It means you stop being tossed by every emotion, every opinion, every shift in the wind. You become the wind. And suddenly, things that once controlled you no longer move you. The shame, it breaks. The guilt, it fades. The fear, it bows. Because there is nothing more terrifying to a world built on conformity than a soul who has fully owned itself. Nothing more powerful than a person who needs nothing but truth. Nothing more beautiful than a life that reflects honor over hype. You start creating without the need to be seen. You start building without the rush to arrive. You start giving without the fear of being used. You start receiving without guilt, because now you know you are worthy. Worthy of peace. Worthy of love. Worthy of rest. Worthy of taking up space. Worthy of being fully, fiercely, freely yourself. And when you know that deeply, undeniably, unshakably, you stop surviving and you start living, breath by breath, choice by choice, step by step. You begin to live the kind of life that doesn't just change you, it changes everyone who witnesses it. Because a free soul becomes a mirror, a light, a rebellion, a reminder of what we've all forgotten, that we were never meant to fit in. We were meant to stand up, to live for truth, to live for love, to live for purpose, to live for ourselves. And from that place, give the world the most radical thing it could ever receive. A life that never needed its permission to begin. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more truth. Not the kind you preach, the kind you live. It needs more people who wake up every day and say, I will not abandon myself today. I will not shrink to survive. I will not dull my light to fit their darkness. I will live fully, freely, fiercely in alignment with who I am. That is the revolution. Not louder voices, clearer ones, not bigger platforms, stronger foundations, not more followers, more freedom. And freedom begins the moment you decide that your life is yours, that your time is not for rent, that your energy is not a product, that your soul is not a commodity to be traded for likes, status, or someone else's comfort. You are not here to fit a mold. You are here to break it, to challenge the script, to set fire to every version of you that was written by fear, forged in silence, shaped by systems that never knew your name. You are here to write your own, with blood, sweat, joy, power, conviction, and presence. And let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them call you names. Let them fall away. Because what you're building now isn't for the many. It's for the meaningful. It's not for popularity, it's for purpose. And purpose doesn't need applause. It just needs your yes. So give it without hesitation, without apology, without waiting for them to be ready, because the only one who needs to be ready is you. And now you are. No more dimming. No more begging. No more surviving. It's time to live on your terms, in your truth, for your soul. Not tomorrow. Not when it's easier. Not when they approve. Now, right here, right now. This is the moment. Not the start of something new, the return to something ancient. To the you that always knew this day would come. To the you that never died, just waited patiently beneath the layers. To the you that was always too much for their world, but just enough for your own. So breathe, stand, speak, and live for yourself. Always. Because the day you choose to live for yourself is the day everything sacred begins to rise within you. Not just ambition, not just confidence, but alignment. That unshakable holy power that comes when your soul and your actions are finally walking in the same direction. You stop needing to be motivated because purpose has taken over. You stop chasing success because truth has become the reward. And suddenly, you feel whole, not because everything around you is perfect, but because everything within you is finally honest. That's the difference between a life of performance and a life of presence. Performance is exhausting. It demands masks. It feeds on applause. It starves in silence. But presence is power. Presence walks into a room and doesn't need to speak to be heard. Presence moves with weight, not because it's loud, but because it's real. And that's what you are now, real. No filter, no compromise, no borrowed opinions. Just you, raw, grounded, untouchable in your truth. And from that place, love flows easier. Creativity flows purer. Peace lasts longer. Joy hits deeper. Even pain becomes more bearable, because at least now it's yours. Not inherited, not absorbed, not tolerated for the sake of others, but real. That's what a life lived for yourself gives you, realness. And in a world of fake that is priceless. So keep going. Keep choosing you. Keep choosing your voice, your vision, your boundaries, your truth. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. Not because the world will understand, but because you finally do. And that understanding, it's enough. It's more than enough. Because when you know who you are, nothing can take that from you. Not rejection, not loss, not fear, not failure, not even loneliness, because you're no longer alone in yourself. You are with you, fully, finally. And that, more than anything, is what makes you unstoppable. So let the world keep spinning. Let the noise keep shouting. Let the old life keep knocking. You've already answered the only question that ever mattered. Will you live for them, or will you live for you? You chose, and you chose freedom. Now live it, out loud, on purpose, with fire in your chest and peace in your bones. Because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs you, the real you, the rising you, the fearless you, the you who is no longer asking for permission to become. So become, not gradually, not halfway, not when they're ready. Now, step into your life like it was waiting for you, because it was. Step into your voice like it was born to echo through generations, because it is. Step into your space like it was carved out by the divine, because it was. You were never meant to live in the shadows of someone else's dream. You were never meant to shrink, to fold, to edit the most powerful parts of your being, just to make others feel comfortable in their limitations. No more. This life, this one short, breathless life, it's not a dress rehearsal. It's the main act, the full stage. The curtain is up, the lights are on. And the question is, will you take your place? Or will you keep waiting in the wings for someone to call you forward? Let me tell you, no one is coming. Not because they don't care, but because it was never their job. This is your stage. This is your moment. And the applause you're craving, it's not outside. It's within. It's your own heart, finally beating in rhythm with your soul. It's your own voice, finally echoing the truth you were afraid to speak. It's your own reflection, finally smiling back at you with pride, not because you're perfect, but because you're present. You're home, and now you walk different. You love different. You forgive different. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Because you no longer look for validation, you look for alignment. You no longer ask, what do they want from me? You ask, what does my soul require of me? You no longer hustle to be seen, you embody your worth. And that embodiment, it's your rebellion. It's your revolution. It's your resurrection. And the world, it won't always understand, but it will feel it. In your presence, in your peace, in the power that pours from someone who's no longer trying to fit in, but fully choosing to belong to themselves. That's your task now, to keep choosing you, not just once, but daily, when it's quiet, when it's hard, when it's lonely, when no one claps, when no one sees. You still choose you, because this life, it was never meant to be lived for someone else's comfort. It was meant to be lived from your soul. And now you know. So rise. So speak. So become. Fully, boldly, unapologetically. So this is it. The final breath before the breakthrough. The last echo before the silence breaks open into clarity. The moment you stop surviving your life and start owning it. No more almosts. No more apologies. No more waiting for a sign, a signal, a rescue. You are the sign. You are the signal. You are the one who rises without an audience, the one who speaks without a script, the one who loves without losing themselves, the one who walks their own road, even when it's empty, even when it's uphill, even when it's lonely, especially when it's lonely, because that's the road that leads to freedom. That's the road that builds the real you. And that's the road that leaves footprints deep enough for others to follow. So don't look back. Don't doubt now. You've come too far to hand your future over to the past. Let them wonder why you changed. Let them gossip about how you outgrew the version they once understood. Let them stay in their cages while you set fire to yours and rise from the smoke. Because your life is not meant to be explained. It's meant to be lived. Your purpose is not up for debate. It's up for demonstration. And your fire, it's not here to warm people who only show up when it's convenient. It's here to ignite the world. So burn. Burn with presence. Burn with truth. Burn with the voice that says, I am no longer asking who I should be. I am who I choose to be. I am no longer living a life written for me. I'm living a life created by me. For me, fully, finally, forever. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the life that was always waiting for you to stop being afraid of your own power. The beginning of days defined by truth, not by timelines. The beginning of love that doesn't require you to lose yourself to receive it. The beginning of everything that matters. Because now you know the truth that most never reach. The most radical thing you can do, the most powerful act of courage, the most magnetic force on earth, is to simply and fiercely live for yourself.